Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Is my voice audible? Okay, let's start. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prach. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think there was some internet issue in between for a moment. Now, can you hear my audio? Am I audible now? Okay. Yeah. So, we have been discussing about the about Jambudvipa, the various varshas in Jambudvipa, how Jambudvipa is divided into nine varshas. We have been discussing about that. And in describing Jambudvipa, it is more of the prayers offered by the residents of the various varshas of Jambudvipa to their worshipable deity. So starting from the 17th chapter onwards, towards the end of 17th chapter, we discussed prayers offered by Lord Shiva to Lord Sankarshan in Ilavrita Varsha. And then in the 18th chapter, we further discussed six more Varshas in which the various denizens offered prayers to their worshipable deity. We saw that. And in this chapter, we did discuss the prayers offered by Hanumanji to Lord Ramachandra in Kim Purusha Varsha. And we also discussed prayers offered by Narada Muni to Naranarayan Rishi in Bharata Varsha. So we had discussed all these things, and then we also, towards the end of it, we discussed the uh, we discussed about the various rivers and mountains in all these varshas. We did discuss about that, and then in the last section that we started discussing yesterday, we started discussing the demigod's glorification of Bharata Varsha. Mm. The demigod's glorification of Bharata Varsha. This is where this is what we were discussing. So in this context, we were discussing yesterday that only human form of birth in Bharatavarsha is the only species in which that is the only species in which uh, one earns karma. The rest of the species only spends karma. So this is something that that we started discussing yesterday. Hmm. So every other yoni is actually upabhoga yoni, karma upabhoga yoni, a species in which karma is only spent, it is not earned. And apart from Bharata Varsha, every other Varsha of Jambudvipa and every other planetary system within the universe is upabhogastan, punya and papa upabhogastan. Karma can only be spent, karma cannot be earned. Okay. So an animal or a bird cannot be held responsible for uh, for cannot be held karmically responsible, you can say, okay, for their actions. They cannot be held karmically responsible for their actions. Okay. So, uh, because they don't earn karma in that yoni. So this is something that we had been discussing yesterday. And then talking about the demigods glorifying Bharatavarsha, we saw Aho Amisham Kimakari Shobanam. Prasanna Esham Sviduta Swayam Harihi. Yairjanma Labdam Drishu Bharatajire Mukunda Sevau Paikam Sprihahinaha. They say, Aho Amisham Kimakari Shobanam. Shobanam means pious acts. Oh, what pious acts did these residents perform? Hmm? So, by which they have attained a birth which is suitable for service to Mukunda. So, we were discussing yesterday that mm, uh, this piety, what piety someone has performed, is just a way of telling that about the rarity of such a birth. Rarity is indicated by piety, austerity. Oh, what austerity they have performed, like that. As I mentioned yesterday, I was struggling to recollect a particular verse. I just recollected it. Durapahi alpatapaso seva vaikunta vartmasu yatropagiyate nityam deva devo janardana. That is that verse. Comes in the third canto. Durapahi alpatapasa seva vaikunta vartmasu. Hmm. Service to great Vaishnavas is not possible for those who have done meager austerities. That is what literally it translates to. But in reality, if you see, the opportunity to serve Vaishnavas is not a byproduct of tapasya. The opportunity to serve Vaishnavas is a byproduct of the Vaishnavas' compassion. That is not a byproduct of piety or austerity. But still, it is spoken like that. It is spoken, it is just a conventional way of presenting something. Hmm. Uh, it's just a conventional way of presenting something. So the devatas are singing, what kind of piety did these residents perform? Or was the Lord simply pleased with them, by which they attained a birth suitable for service to Mukunda in the area of Bharata? Whereas we can only desire this but not attain it. Another point that we discussed yesterday was that it's not that in the other planetary systems it is impossible to worship Mukunda, but human form of life in Bharatavarsha gives them a more, um, you can say, um, it gives them it facilitates this service more. That's all. Hmm. It gives, it is more anukul for devotional service. That's all. Otherwise, bhakti is yat syat sarvatra sarvada. Under all circumstances, at all places, it is possible to perform bhakti. It is possible to perform bhakti. It is not impossible. So bhakti is possible for anyone. So, mm, so they are just appreciating the facilitation, the better facilitation that human birth in Bharatavarsha gives for worshipping Krishna, for worshipping the Lord. Then they said, Kim dushkarairna kratubis tapovratair danadibirva dyujayena falguna nayatra narayana pada pankajas smritis pramushta atishaya indriya utsavat. So what is the problem with heaven? He says, Kim dushkarairna kratubir tapovratahi. What is the use of our performing difficult sacrifices, vows of austerity and acts of charity on earth? But because that is how they attained the heavenly planets. What is the use of that? Dyujayena falguna, or attaining transient residence in heaven. Nayatra Narayana Pada Pankaja Smritihi. What is the use of performing all these austerities and coming to heaven? Because here, remembering Krishna is very difficult. Why? Pramushta Atishaya Indriya Utsavat. That memory is carried away by excessive enjoyment of the senses. Wherever there is excessive opportunity to enjoy, it is difficult to remember Krishna. Therefore, Smaranam. Therefore, Raganuga Bhakti is not easy. Therefore, Raganuga Bhakti requires some amount of purification. Because Raganuga Bhakti is Smaranatmika Bhakti. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami, when he is talking about practice of Raganuga Bhakti, he starts with this verse. Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtam nija samihitam tattat kata rataschaso kuryad vasam raje sada. This is one of the few verses that he quotes to talk about practice of Raganuga Bhakti. What is it? He starts by telling Krishnam smaran. One has to remember Krishna, smaranam. Preshtam nijasamihitam preshtam janam smaran. Not only remember Krishna, but remember remember the associates of Krishna, especially those associates whose mood we are trying to imbibe. So first thing, in order for smaranam to happen, there are two things which are very important. Okay, for smaranam to happen, there are two things which are very important. One is first Shravanam, sufficient Shravanam and Kirtanam. Because unless it is only by Shravanam that you get to know about Krishna, that you get to know about the Vrajavasis. Okay. And the second thing is that, so Smaranam means spontaneous remembrance. It is not a very, it's not that you endeavor a lot to try to remember. No. Smaranam is kind of spontaneous. Smaranam is kind of spontaneous. For that kind of a spontaneous remembrance, the heart cannot be filled with material desires. If the heart is excessively filled with material desires, spontaneous remembrance of Krishna will not be possible. Okay. Spontaneous remembrance of Krishna will not be possible. So therefore, one should understand that that to perform Raganuga Bhakti, some level of purification of heart is needed. Actually, a significant level of purification of heart is needed. Not that anyone can just like that start Raganuga Bhakti. That is why on the path of in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, which has come to give Raganuga Bhakti, the means to attain that Raganuga Bhakti also has to be given. What is the means to attain that Raganuga Bhakti? The Vaidhi aspect of that Raganuga Bhakti, which is predominated by Shravana Kirtanatmika Bhakti, which is predominated by Shravanam and Kirtanam. That is emphasized. When that Shravanam and Kirtanam is sufficiently done properly, then naturally it leads to Smaranam. That Shravanam and Kirtanam leads to purification of heart. Okay. It leads to purification of heart, and it gives the favorable knowledge that is needed to meditate upon or remember the Vrajavasis and Krishna. Okay. And it removes the distraction in the form of various other anarthas, which will be an obstacle to natural smaranam. Okay. So therefore, the path given by our acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, is a very robust process. A robust process in which there is solid emphasis on Shravanam and Kirtanam. And when that Shravanam and Kirtanam comes, it naturally removes the obstacles it naturally removes the obstacles for smaranam and naturally gives the knowledge that is needed for smaranam and the attraction that is needed for smaranam. It naturally engenders. So what looks like Vaidhi sadhana bhakti in the beginning, um, because the subject matter that we are hearing and chanting is coming directly from the acharyas who are themselves is coming from the acharyas who are themselves um, manjaris. So therefore it naturally cleanses the heart and removes the obstacles for smaranam and gives the sufficient knowledge and attraction which can naturally engender smaranam. Okay, so this is actually raganuga bhakti. So Raganuga Bhakti means Smaranatmika Bhakti. But for practicing Smaranatmika Bhakti, there has to be a facilitation that comes in the form of Shravana Kirtanatmika Bhakti. That is what actually, uh, our acharyas are giving. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give Raganuga Bhakti, then there would be no reason why Srila Rupa Goswami would have is my voice low? Someone is telling that my voice is low. Is my voice low? Because as far as I understand, I'm talking quite uh, loudly. Uh, okay, it's clear. Okay. So therefore, what our acharyas are giving is actually a very robust, they have given is a very robust process. If you say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give only Raganuga Bhakti, then why would Srila Rupa Goswami spend so much time discussing, so much time actually discussing um, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Uh, Why did he have to do it? Why did he have to spend so much time discussing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? Because this Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is what will naturally engender Raganuga Bhakti. You cannot prematurely practice it. You cannot prematurely practice it. There is a natural process. The Shravanam and Kirtanam will only engender Smaranam. So if one has to practice Smaranatmika Bhakti, um, then it has to start with Shravana Kirtanatmika Bhakti. That is why Srila Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Instruction also says, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityor Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Vraje Tadanuraga Jananugami Kalam Nayed Yadakilam Iti Upadesha Saram. What is the essence of all instructions? Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana Anusmrityor. So one has to Nama Rupa Charita Adi, Nama Rupa Gunalila, Sukirtana, properly doing Kirtan, Anusmrityor, and which Anusmriti, Anu means following. Following that Kirtana would be Smarana. Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana Anusmrityor, Rasana Manasi Niyojya. First Rasana, the tongue, and ears. Of course, ears is understood. Rasana, Manasi. Then comes Manasi. What is the role of mind? Remembrance, Smaranam. But before Smaranam, what comes? Rasana, chanting. Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana Anusmrityor Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Vraje. Then one has to stay in Vraja. Tishtan Vraje Tad Anuraga Jana Anugami. And then one should become a follower of Tad Anuraga Jana. Of those people, of those Vrajavasis who have great Anuraga for Krishna. Iti Akilam Kalam Nayad. In this way, if one spends all their time, this is the essence of all instructions. So, um, okay, someone is asking that I should share the third canto verse number. Okay, that verse is Durapahi Alpa Tapasa Seva Vaikunta Vartmasu Yatropagiyate Nityam Deva Devo Janardana. That is the verse. Okay. 3.7.20. Thank you very much, Vallabh Chaitanya bro. Yeah, 3.7.20 is the verse. Hmm. So, service to the devotees on the path to Vaikunta who are constantly singing about the Supreme Lord is rarely achieved for those who perform little austerity. Hmm. Austerity has something to do with getting an opportunity to serve the devotees, but actually it has nothing to do. Okay. So, and very beautiful. Thank you, Vallabh Chaitanya Guru. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, service to the great devotees is very rare. Though the verse says that those with little austerity rarely attain devotees, this is only a conventional expression. Service to devotees is attained only by mercy of devotees. It is not attained as a result of austerity. Those on the path to Vaikuntha means those who are constantly engaged in sadhana. Vallabh Chaitanya Guru, are these the exact words that Srila Prabhupada writes? So this is Srila. Are these the exact words that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning? Are these the exact words? Amazing. I am feeling very, uh, because this is exactly what we discussed also. And I'm very surprised that he is using the exact same words to, um, you know, exact same words. He says, service to great devotees is very rare. Though the verse says that those with little austerity rarely attain devotees, this is only a conventional expression. We discuss the same thing, exact same thing. It is just a conventional expression. Service to devotees is attained only by mercy of devotees. Ah, okay. It is only attained as a result of us. It is not attained as a result of austerity. This is only a conventional expression. Is my voice breaking sometimes? No. Okay, it's clear. Everyone says it's clear. Okay, thank you. Anyways, so yeah, so we were discussing that it is very difficult for to practice proper Raganuga Bhakti unless there is a support of Shravana Kirtanatmika Bhakti, which is the Vaidi part of Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. So the Vaidi Bhakti that we are practicing, which is Shravana Kirtanatmika Vaidi Bhakti, is Vaidi part of Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. Because the subject matter of our Shravanam and Kirtanam is Vraja Bhakti, or that which is favorable to develop Vraja Bhakti. Okay. Or that which gradually leads to Vraja Bhakti. So therefore, one should not say that Prabhupada or Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave only sadhana bhakti. No, or Vaidi sadhana bhakti. This is Vaidi part of Raganuga bhakti. If Shravanam and Kirtanam of these things is properly done, okay, then it naturally leads to cleansing of heart and it naturally leads to Smaranam. The knowledge that is needed to remember. So then it leads to so then it leads to natural smaranam. Then gradually one develops that greed. So how do you develop greed? So greed can develop only if greed of course can develop for multiple things, but a predominant greed, a powerful greed can develop only if there is no attachment to or very less attachment to other things, material things. Okay. So then one can develop that kind of a greed like that. And also one should have proper knowledge of uh, um, of Krishna, Vrindavan, the Vrajavasis, and their love for Krishna, when that knowledge is there, and when there is uh, when one's attachment to things of this world is removed, then it is possible for one to develop that kind of a greed, like that. So they are the the denizens of heaven are lamenting that here in heaven, because there is so much easy access to sense gratification, it is very difficult to fix our mind. The smaranam is very difficult, is what they're telling. Then they say, Kalpayusham stanajayat punarbhavat kshanayusham bharata bhujayo kshanayusham bharata bhujayo varam kshanena martyena kritam manasvinah sanyasya samyanti abhayam padam harehe. He says, a moment's stay in Bharata is better than living for a kalpa on Brahmaloka. A moment's stay in Bharata is better than living for a kalpa on Brahmaloka. Since on Brahmaloka one must take birth again. Those who fix their minds on the Lord in Bharata, in a body subject to death, on giving up all pious and impious acts, attains Vaikuntha. You see here, again, this cannot be taken very literally. They are presenting as if in Brahmaloka it is impossible to fix one's mind on the Lord, and as if it is possible only in Bharatavarsha. This is not true. Okay. Bhakti can be practiced anywhere. Just that they are again indicating, just like they compared Bharatavarsha with Swargaloka, now they are comparing Bharatavarsha with Brahmaloka. But whether it is Brahmaloka or Swargaloka, it is still possible to perfect their life and go back home, back to Godhead. It is possible. Just that Bharatavarsha may be little more um, Bharatavarsha may be little more favorable. That's all. And Brahmaloka also, a comparison with Swargaloka is reasonable. Comparison with Brahmaloka is little, you can say, sometimes if you see, when it is someone's birthday, that birthday person is glorified by everyone. And someone who is coming there, either he is not aware of the culture, or he is not aware that it is that person's birthday, he might think that, oh, this person must be the most exalted person. Okay. This person must be the most exalted person, like that. So here, the subject matter of discussion is Bharatavarsha. Okay. So comparing it with Swarga is reasonable. But in Brahmaloka, it is actually quite conducive. But because the subject matter of discussion, but because here the birthday boy is Bharatavarsha. Okay. The birthday boy is Bharatavarsha. Yes, Bharatavarsha is the only place where karma can be done. But to say that even in comparison to Brahmaloka, the chance of going back home, back to Godhead is greater in Bharatavarsha, is in one sense here it is little bit of an exaggerated praise. Because in Brahmaloka, the percentage of people at the end of course, because the lifespan is longer, Dviparartha. Lifespan is longer. Therefore, even if they are ready to go back home, back to Godhead, they will have to wait till they give up that body and then go back. So, which means it takes a much longer time to go back. But having said that, a much better percentage of people from Brahmaloka actually attain liberation. Okay, they actually attain liberation. But of course, the time taken is much longer. That is a problem. But otherwise, Brahmaloka provides a very good facility for devotional service. For devotional service. But of course, here we have to understand. um, Here the birthday boy is Bharatavarsha, so therefore there might seem to be an extraordinary glorification uh, of Bharatavarsha. Yeah, correct. Yeah, it is a duration. I did mention that. It is the duration that is kind of glorified. Okay, so this is where we ended our discussion yesterday. Let us continue. Let us start today's discussion. So this is the demigods from heaven glorifying Bharatavarsha. That is the series of prayers that is going on. Nayatra Vaikunta Kata Sudapaga न साधवो भागवतास्तदाश्रयाः न यत्र यज्ञे शमका महोत्सवाः सुरेश लोकोऽपि न वै स सेव्यताम्. Sura Isha Lokah. Generally, Suresh refers to Indra, but here Sura Isha refers to Brahma. So Suresha Loka, because Suresha Loka only is being described here right now. So based on the context, you understand that here Suresha refers to Brahma, and it does not refer to Indra here. So Sureisha Loko api navaisa sevyatam. Even Brahmaloka should not be accepted as a residence. Nayatra Vaikunta Kata Sudha Apaga. Apa is water. Apaga means moving water. Moving water means river. Okay. Nayatra Vaikunta Kata Sudha Apaga. Even Brahmaloka should not be accepted if there are no rivers of sweet topics about the Lord. Na sadavo bhagavata tadashraya. Na, and if there are no sadavaha, devotees, sadavo bhagavataha, wonderful devotees, tadashraya, who take shelter of those topics. Nayatra yajna, isha maka mahotsava, and where there are no great festivals or sacrifices of chanting the names of the Lord. Suresha lokopi navaisa sevyatam. It's not that these are not available in Brahmaloka, but even Brahmaloka, if it is not available, it should not be accepted. Which means Bhuloka, if it is not available, certainly should not be accepted. This is not a comparison of Brahmaloka and Bhuloka. He says, even if Brahmaloka without this has to be rejected, then Bhuloka without this certainly has to be rejected. Like that. So it is not a glorification. It is a glorification of the process of bhakti. Nayatra Vaikunta Kata Sudapaga. Na sadavo bhagavata tadashraya. Nayatra yajnesha maka mahotsava. Suresha lokopi navaisa sevyatam. It is just like telling Salokya sashti samipya sarupya ekatvam apyuta diyamanam na grananti vinamat sevanam jana. The, the, the essence of that whole verse is vinamat sevanam na grananti. It's not like there is a problem with Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya, etc. Of course, with Sayuja, there is a problem. But otherwise, there is no problem with Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, etc. But the issue is Vina Matsevanam, without service. Okay. Of course, there is ample service opportunity in the abode of the Supreme Lord, much more than what is available in this material world. But if that service is not there, they don't accept. Similarly, here, even Brahmaloka should not be accepted, should not be accepted if there is no opportunity for devotional service. That's what it means. Okay. So, oh, beautiful. Thank you, Vallabh Chaitanya bro. I think I would really appreciate if you do this service. If you can, if you can share relevant parts of Srila Prabhupada's purport based on what we are discussing. It would be better to live, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport to the same verse. It would be better to live perpetually crammed within the airtight bag of a mother's womb, where one can at least remember the lotus feet of the Lord, than to live in a place where there is no opportunity to remember his lotus feet. I mean, of course, it's not that in the cramped, airtight bag of a mother's womb, it gives a very favorable situation to remember the Supreme Lord. No, that is not the case. But if there is a choice that you have an opportunity to stay in the cramped, airtight bag of a mother's womb with remembrance, and in comparison to that, live in a very wonderful place, but where there is no remembrance. So Prabhupada says, better to live in that airtight bag of a mother's womb with remembrance than to live in a comfortable place without remembrance. So it is about remembrance and no remembrance, and it does not literally mean that in the airtight bag of a mother's womb, one can very easily remember Krishna. No, that's not what it means. So, so here Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, the intelligent person concludes as follows. There should be rivers of nectar of the Lord's topics. The topics should be plentiful and tasty like rivers, not flowing meagerly like topics of the Gyanis and Yogis, which means there must be a lot of Krishna Katha, not just meager Krishna Katha. There should be persons who depend on the Lord, Bhagavataha, who take shelter of those rivers. So not just Krishna Katha, but there should be personalities who relish that Krishna Katha and want to discuss that Krishna Katha, and not persons who depend on Paramatma, who depend very little on those topics to gain their jnana and siddhis. There should be sacrifices dedicated to the Lord of sacrifices, Yajnesha Maka. Among all the different types of sacrifices belonging to sages like Angirasa and Brihaspati Sava, there are the sacrifices belonging to the Lord, Isha Makaha. What are the sacrifices? These are Sankirtan sacrifices. So, oftentimes people think that it is Srila Prabhupada who called it Sankirtan Yagya. No. You see here Sankirtan sacrifices. This is actually Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur he is using. The proof is Yajnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasaha. In Kali Yuga, the intelligent people worship the Lord by chanting. There should be great festivals with abundant chanting, singing, dancing, instrumental music, and worship of devotees. If these items are not present, even the planet of Brahma should not be accepted as a shelter. Not that the planet of Brahma lacks these things, but if there is no opportunity for this in the planet of Brahma, then one should reject even the planet of Brahma. Okay, that's what it means. Next verse. प्राप्तांड्रजातिं त्विह ये च जन्तवो ज्ञानक्रियाद्रव्यकलापसंवृतां न वैयतेरन् अपुनर्भवायते भूयो वनौका इव यान्ति बन्धनम्. Those who attain birth as humans, ye jantavah prapta nrijatim. Those who attain birth as humans, iha, in Bharata, sambritam, who are fully endowed with jnana, kriya, dravya, kalapa. That human birth in Bharata, fully endowed with proper sense devatas, proper senses and sense objects, navai yateran apunar bhavaya, but who do not endeavor for bhakti yoga, which is the only way of transcending birth and death. They, such people, bhuyo yanti bandhanam, they are again bound up, vana okaha iva, like birds trapped by a hunter. What is a similar verse? What is a similar verse? Is it that Nrideha Madhyam Sulabam Sudurlabam Plavam Sukalpam Gurukarnadaram Mayanu Kulena Nabasvateritam Puman? What is the last line? Mayanukulena nabasvateritam puman. What is that? Anyone remembers? Nridehamadyam sulabam sudurlabam plavam sukalpam gurukarnadaram mayanukulena nabasvateritam puman virajyeta savaisa atmaha. Puman, yeah. If a person still does not, puman bhavabdir na taretta atmaha. If a person who has the best boat to cross this ocean of material existence in the form of human life, nrideha madhyam tulabam sudurlabam, very rare, plavam, sukalpam, finely crafted boat, guru karnadaram, and the guru is the uh, captain of that ship or boat. Maya anukulena nabaswata iritam, and that boat is being kind of driven by the favorable winds in the form of scriptures. Puman bhavabdim nataret sa atmaha. That person who does not still endeavor to cross the ocean of material existence is a killer of his own soul. Like that the Shastras say, Bhagavatam says. Puman bhavabdim nataret sa atmaha. Yes. Okay. So, those who attain this Bharata and do not utilize it properly are most lamentable, like a farmer who on attaining a Chintamani stone continues to farm. Why he should continue to farm? He should actually, uh, use the Chintamani stone to get whatever he wants. Human life in Bharata is fully endowed with Adidaiva, Adhyatma and Adibhuta, which means the uh, senses, the sense devatas, and the sense objects, everything is there. This means the human is endowed with all the senses so that it is possible to hear and chant the holy names. Okay. Apunar bhavaya means bhakti yogaya. Those who do not strive for bhakti yoga are like birds. Though the birds are freed by the hunter, if they are again inattentive in the tree and play about, they get caught again. Okay. One more verse will complete. Yai Shraddaya Barhishi Bhagashohavir Niruptamishtam Vidimantra Vastutah Ekah Pritannamabirahuto Muda Ghrannati Purna Swayamashisham Prabhu. Ekah, the Lord is only one only. Pritak Namabir Ahutah. Ahutah means called, addressed. Pritak Namabihi, by different names. Even though the Lord is one, he is addressed by different names. Purnaha Swayam, even though he is complete in himself, Ashisham Prabhu, he is the master of blessings. He is completely self-satisfied. Okay. But he actually, he is actually very, very compassionate and empathetic towards other living entities who may not be self-satisfied, which means he gives them all the blessings. The Lord himself does not want any of those, but he is still empathetic towards those who aspire for those same blessings. So he is Swayam Purnaha, but he is Ashisham Prabhu. And therefore, Mudagranati, therefore he happily accepts Ishtam Havihi, the pure offering, Barhishi, of sacrifice, Vidhi, Mantra, Vastutaha, along with materials, methods, and mantras, Bhagasho Niruptam, which are offered to various devatas, Yai Shraddaya, because of the bhakti. So even though the Lord is complete in himself, but still he is very eager to bestow the blessings on other people. Even though he does not want any of those, but he is very compassionate towards those who are aspiring for those blessings. And it is only for that reason the Lord eagerly accepts the materials, mantras, and everything which is offered in sacrifice, so that in return he can bestow all their blessings. It is just like the Lord is very eager to be glorified. Why? Because in glorifying the Supreme Lord, the living entity can get all the benefits. Karuno vrinite. It is only out of compassion that the Lord accepts the glorification by devotees. Because in glorifying the Lord opens the doors of emancipation for the living entities. So it is purely out of compassion that the Lord accepts the glorification of the living entities. Similarly, it is purely out of compassion that the Lord accepts the mm, uh, sacrifices and the sacrificial offerings of the living entities, because he he is Ashisham Prabhu. He is the master of blessings. He is very eager to give blessings. He 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 accepts very eagerly because he wants to give. Okay. It seems like he is very eager to accept, but his eagerness in acceptance is because he is eager to give. It is because he is eager to give. The same way, it seems like he is very eager to accept glorification, but his eagerness to accept glorification is to open the doors of emancipation for the living entities. It is purely out of compassion. In this material world, people want to be glorified not for the benefit of the other person, but because they are so self-absorbed. But the Supreme Lord wants to accept glorification because that is the only way by which the living entities can be benefited. So Gita says, Ekatvena pratatvena bahuda vishwatomukam. They worship me in many different forms and worship me as the universe in many ways. Okay, this is what pratak ahuto pratak nama bihi, like that. Those who worship the universal form, thinking of that form as a power of the Lord, are also fortunate. That is explained in this verse. In sacrifice, the Lord, even though complete in himself, accepts the pure sacrificial materials with methods, mantras, and materials offered with allotted portions, while saying Indraya Swaha, Agnaye Swaha, since he is the master of blessings. Why he accepts? Because that is the way by which he can bestow his blessings upon those who have karma shraddha. He accepts because of bhakti, even though one he is called by separate names such as Indra. So uh, actually the names Indra, Varuna, Brahma, etc. originally belongs to the Supreme Lord only. It originally belongs to him. So except for some of the names like Krishna, Rama, Rishikesha, Padmanabha, etc., except for those names, Krishna willingly allows his other names to be accepted by other living entities. So Indra calls himself Indra, even though the name Indra actually belongs to Vishnu. Brahma uses the name Brahma, even though originally the name Brahma, it refers to Vishnu. Varuna, Agni, all those things, actually those names originally belongs to Vishnu, but Vishnu mercifully allows those names to be utilized by these various personalities, like that. Okay, so we will pause here to see if there are any quick discussion points, comments, questions. I think from yesterday's discussion, there were, I think, Sham Sundaranand Prabhu had raised his hands, and I think one or two devotees had raised their hands, and but we could not take those questions. Maybe we could take some questions, and if we have some additional time, then we will cover one more verse. So I will unmute. I remember Sham Sundaranand Prabhu. I don't remember the others if they had a question. Yes, Sham Sundaranand Prabhu, you have any? You want to ask the question that you had?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Broji, Dandavat Pranam.
Then
Broji, sorry, I don't know, it was so important. We were discussing about this birth in Bharatvarsha. I was just saying that because of the, you know, I, I I mean to say that we are not, I'm not saying that we are great or so, or because we are great, because the we are fortunate to, take birth in this place. So we have the facility to actually get access to the more subtler and purer aspects of bhakti, and there is so much conducive atmosphere to practice bhakti, and also uh, Sanatan Dharma is also very much widely nicely practiced here, other than compared to the other parts of the world. So that was I was asking, like, are we not fortunate enough,
yeah,
and in that aspect is
yeah, just
Bharatakhanda. So
yeah, just give me 1 second. Just give me
yeah,
1 second. I'll be back. Just 1 second.
yeah, fine.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was, yeah. So
Yeah,
the question that you asked is valid, I would say. Uh, as long as it is just uh, a, a grateful feeling of fortune and not a kind of pride, and only because, and it is a feeling of gratitude only because we have the opportunity and we are utilizing that opportunity, not just blindly because I was born in this land. And generally, if you see the case, most likely that feeling may be more predominant in most people. I don't wish to generalize, but I think it is uh, I think most people who are patriotic, even within uh, India, their patriotism is mostly born out of uh, not out of gratitude that they have an opportunity to a better facility to practice bhakti, uh, but it is most likely uh, out of a sense of self-centeredness. So, so if you say in the ideal case, someone is feeling greatly fortunate out of uh, a sense of gratitude, then that kind of a feeling is very good. And that will not lead to any kind of sectarian mentality. That would naturally make that person feel whatever I have, let everyone have. I will try to share what I have with others. Uh, It, if it leads to a kind of sectarian mentality and a sense of mm, pride, then that kind of uh, patriotism is most likely a self-centered form of patriotism. Um, it is not exactly a feeling of gratitude, is what I feel.
yeah, very much, Rosie. I just was curious, and I was just thinking. that two things come to my mind. One thing is in Bhagavatam first canto itself, when Parikshit Maharaj was touring the world, he hears about the glorification of Pandavas, and
Saratya
he feels,
Parashada Sevan.
yeah, so and he feels grateful and he feels happy by
Correct.
hearing such
Yeah.
glorification.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah. I will go over that verse once more because there are
yeah,
details which are hidden in that verse which we might be not
okay,
uh, paying attention to, that
okay,
paying attention that it deserves.
yeah,
Okay. So what it leads to, okay, that kind of
mm,
gratitude, what it leads to. So Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakya Dautya Virasananu Stavana Pranaman Nigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatimscha Vishnor Bhaktim Karoti Nrupatis Charanaravinde. So the absorption is not in thinking I am great. The, it naturally leads to absorption in bhakti.
yes,
So if that kind of patriotism, which patriotism for this country, which naturally engenders devotion and enhances one's inspiration to um, engage in bhakti and inspire others also to engage in bhakti, that
mm,
kind of patriotism is favorable.
yes, correct. So even yeah, so that is point exactly. And the second thing which I was mentioning, like even in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, when we were
Yeah.
when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu receives devotees from Bengal,
Mhm,
there are people who come from different locations in Bengal,
mhm.
from some from Kulinagram, some from some other places. So
Yeah.
it is, but what I am trying to say is, it is but natural to identify a person from a certain place,
Mm,
and then they are also uh, you know happy to be called so, and they also have some allegiance to that place, and it is not to disregard or disrespect others, or to actually boast oneself to be great, but
mm.
a healthy sense of uh, uh, belongingness to a certain place or a certain lineage is a natural trait of uh, humanity itself. So if we
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
yeah,
As long as, see, the whole lineage thing is supposed to generate what emotion?
I, ultimately it should the I my understanding of lineage is it talks about that first aspect of Arjuna tells in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So it carries
What he says?
some he says that the community projects and
Yeah,
so,
correct.
so
But
that is something
eventually,
which is, yeah,
yeah, it is natural. Eventually, Krishna kind of makes it. He defeats those arguments. So I'm not telling it is not important, but the point is, most often than not, in most people, may not be in your case, but most people for whom you are standing, for most of them, they may have a sense of entitlement and pride because of that, rather than a sense of gratitude and responsibility, and a feeling of responsibility. So, and even in the case of um, the Kulinagram Vasis and other people coming and visiting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I think their joy was more that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's remembering them rather than their identification with that particular village. Not that they did not have
exactly,
any identification. So we have to
exactly,
understand, yeah. So that is the kind of, um, so it is more in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remembering them than in their belonging to Kulinagram or anywhere else. So that is the point. So that kind of patriotism, which engenders a sense of gratitude and a sense of responsibility rather than a sense of sectarian identification. That kind of patriotism is is perfect. But I doubt what percentage of people within this Bharatavarsha um, has that flavor of patriotism. So therefore, uh, while I agree that such feeling is natural, I would not like to eulogize that kind of a feeling, because that kind of a feeling is not necessarily a very exalted feeling. It may not necessarily be much superior to an American feeling patriotic towards his country or a Russian feeling patriotic towards his country, because the kind of patriotism that we are discussing right now, I think both of us will definitely agree that 99.9999% of people who are so-called patriotic in India do not have that flavor at all. So we cannot talk for them, we cannot stand for their patriotism also.
Yeah, I do agree, Prabhu. I think I should not drag this subject matter, because this could be so many aspects will come out. All I want to say is that what you exactly, I also completely agree with what you are saying, and I am also of the same opinion. We should not, sectarian mentality, we should not, promote by this. I also disagree with those people who feel superior because just because we are born in India only. So, uh, yeah, I just want to, you know, understand in this that just being by belonging to a certain place, if you, actually for bhakti, there is no bar. But
Mhm,
if someone, as we are discussing earlier also, the Brahmaloka, for
mhm,
example, has more convenience to practice bhakti
mhm,
compared to the other places.
mhm,
So, in that aspect, those people who are born there are fortunate enough, and they have accrued some, some karma, pious karma to be born there. So,
mhm,
just because we are comparing two things,
mhm,
which are, unrelated, and we are trying to, you know throw the baby along with the bathwater out just to prove an argument. So that
mhm.
is what I was.
No,
Uh,
I am not. See, I am not trivializing the importance of taking birth in Bharatavarsha.
hmm,
Okay, that
oh,
definitely is there. We cannot. But the point is, I am talking about what kind of emotions it should generate.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that I think both of us are agreeing. And
yes.
another thing both of us are agreeing is that the kind of people for whom we are defending, they 99.99% of the people don't have those emotions. They have anything but those emotions. And mostly it is a sectarian belief. Okay.
Uh,
So while I think both of us agree that a feeling of gratitude and responsibility is definitely possible for some people, but
hmm,
those people are microscopic minority that you also know, I also know.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all. There is
yes,
nothing. I agree. I am not telling that such a thing is not possible, but
yeah,
it is generally that is not the. mm,
yeah.
yeah, that's the point.
Yes, bro. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Madhavi Gopi Mantaj.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, yesterday also and today also, when I was hearing, I was feeling that this Bharat Varsha, the tract of land, is so
Mhm,
very precious. Means
mhm,
out of all 14 planetary systems, it is the
mhm.
only, what we say, that Saubhagya Lord has bestowed to this land, that
Yeah,
they can, earn the karma. Like,
yeah.
but uh, we also do see, Prabhuji, that that even though born in this tract of land, there are so many jivas, so many,
Mhm, mhm,
who actually don't utilize that credits,
mhm,
and they are just, you know, wasting the opportunity which they have received actually, even not
mhm,
without realizing that what opportunity really they have received.
mhm,
So, means in that case, when we say that bhakti is easy in this land, So if suppose someone is not utilizing that opportunity, then whatever the negative credits one may get, whether that also is in proportion, means in proportionately higher than one who is in the other tracts of land but is not doing the pursuit.
Yeah, I mean, forget about bhakti, talk even about the path of karma. Even if they are not taking up to a pious form of life, that is also a problem, because they will get impious karma, because of which they will have to suffer. So, yeah, definitely accruing of bad karma is there in the Bharata Varsha. So if you utilize that opportunity. But having said that, uh, just because they are born in Bharata Varsha, um, if they are not fortunate enough to receive the seed of bhakti, what can they do? They cannot be punished for that.
So that means, Prabhuji, means even though born in Bharatvarsha, somebody is not getting the seed of devotion, then
Yeah.
actually there is no, what we say, it is like somebody has money but he cannot utilize it. He doesn't have access to it.
Yeah,
So
correct.
means then in that case, how we can call that those born in the Bharatvarsha are really fortunate?
No.
Because
What
then
he is telling
that,
is, what they mean is, they are looking at, like, for example, you may say Kota, Rajasthan is the best place to prepare for JEE or NEET exam. But if you go to Kota, Rajasthan, there are many illiterates also. So when you are glorifying Kota, you are talking about those personalities who got an opportunity to enroll in one of those premier coaching institutes and get coached there. We are talking about them. That is understood. So similarly, Bharata Varsha is glorified. The glorification is of those people who are in Bharata Varsha and who have received the seed of bhakti. It is understood.
okay, so means that means,
Yeah, that
no,
is
please
so.
continue.
That is like, yeah. So glorification of Kota means glorification of those who are fortunate enough to be enrolled in one of those coaching institutes in Kota. We are not talking about the illiterates in Kota.
Okay.
So
So
that
in
should be
that case,
understood.
Prabhuji, in that case, then those who are in Bharatvarsha but are not doing devotion because they have not received the seed of devotion, they
Hmm?
will not get the negative credits, no? Because even though they are in Bharatvarsha, but they have not received only. So it's
No,
not their
no,
fault, no?
it's not their fault. No.
Okay. So
So
what
if you are,
earlier,
see,
like, yeah.
if you are glorifying someone because of their fortune, okay,
Hmm.
so you are not glorifying uh, because of something that they have done. You are glorifying them because of their fortune. So which means if they don't have it, it is their misfortune. You cannot criticize them. See, bhakti is received only by mercy. So if someone can be criticized if one receives that bhakti by the mercy of Vaishnavas, but gives up that bhakti because of offenses. They can be criticized. But if someone was not fortunate enough to receive the seed of devotion only, they cannot be criticized.
Okay. So that means those who are born in Bharatvarsha, they and those who have received the seed of devotion, only those are really glorious, and others are really not in that sense because they are yet to receive it.
Yeah.
No?
Of course, they can be told, even within Bharatavarsha, forget about bhakti, even those who have received that seed of karma yoga, they are very little. They are very less, especially in Kali Yuga. So that way, if you see in Bharatavarsha, um, uh, you know, that the whole we are talking about and glorifying primarily those who are taken birth in Bharatavarsha and have received the seed of bhakti, and secondarily glorifying those who have taken birth in Bharatavarsha and have received the seed of at least Karma Yoga. So those are glorified. But otherwise, there are those people who are born in Bharatavarsha but do not have neither received the seed of devotion nor have received the seed of Karma Yoga. They are just living materialistic life. They are unfortunate.
Yeah, their misfortune is more greater. I feel that being in such land also they couldn't get it. So that is
Yeah,
really, yeah,
it is just like those who are living in Kota, but they could not get a good education. It is just like that.
yeah, yeah. And actually, Prabhuji, this discussion brings one more supplementary question in my mind, that to get birth in a Bharatvarsha, there must be the devotional, what we say, the Bhakti Sukruti required, na Prabhuji? Or it is not like that,
No,
because we
no.
do see the people who being here are not devotees. So maybe the pious credit also can lead to take birth
Yeah,
in Bharatvarsha.
it is only pious credit that one needs to take birth in as a human being in Bharatavarsha. If you have to take birth as a um, if you have to take birth as a devotee in Bharatavarsha, for that you need Agyata Sukriti. But if you have to just take birth in Bharatavarsha as a person, as a human being, all that it needs is, you're moving in the, in the evolutionary cycle of 84 lakh species, and naturally you have to get a human birth, and you may get it in Bharatavarsha, or maybe you have sufficient material piety to take birth in Bharatavarsha. And you can say that you have spiritual credits to take birth in Bharatavarsha only if, having taken birth in Bharatavarsha, you have received the seed of devotion. Otherwise, it is just material piety only, nothing more than that.
Yeah, and same is for the other species also, na, in Bharatvarsha. I mean, those who are
Yeah,
born in
other species in
Bharatvarsha but non-human,
Bharatavarsha, yeah, correct.
they may have some pious credit, but they are not to the extent that it can be, that currency can be really utilized.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
It's just
okay,
like
thank you so much.
an illiterate in any other part of India and illiterate in Kota does not have any difference, because just because they are in Kota, all that glorification of Kota does not belong to them, because when we are glorifying Kota, we are glorifying those who have been fortunate enough to get admission in one of the premier coaching institutes. So even though Kota may have a significant percentage of illiterates, all that glorification of Kota being the crest jewel of education in India does not apply to them.
Right. Yeah, true. Yeah, thank you so much.
Right. Okay. So I think it's time we will have to pause here. So I know there are one or two questions in the chat box, but we will be able to uh, take it tomorrow. If someone has some burning question, what I would suggest is, right when the session starts, only you raise your hand so that your question can be taken up in the beginning only. So we'll pause here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.